Hi, this is Leanne with Markigy. Today I'm joined by Dina, and I'm going to have you tell us about you so that we can hear your wide background before we launch into our conversation.
Thanks, Leanne. I appreciate you having me on your show today. I'm very excited. So, I'm Dina. I am essentially a demand gen and growth marketer. I've been in the tech and B2B marketing space for almost 20 years. Started with more traditional marketing operations and email marketing over the time and evolved into demand gen and now growth. So that's where I am today.
That's so exciting. And as you're talking, I'm like trying to remember what it was like, when we first started, like when MailChimp was brand new baby.
I
And
know. Yeah.
and it's wild how much it's evolved.
You want to
As
hear
you
the very first, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
no,
already, but you want to hear the very first CRM system I worked with? It was
yeah.
LexisNexis. That's how far back. I'm aging myself a bit, but I age like a fine wine. What can I say?
I love it. I love it. Yes. That is some nostalgia.
Yeah.
Thankfully, somebody someday learned about rounded corners and things have improved dramatically. So you've seen a lot. You've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the really ugly. Um, and I feel like, one of the reasons why I asked you to be a guest is because you do have this like really great insight. And you definitely have like the hills to die on that you're like, whoa, no. Like we got to do this the right way, or like a soapbox. So what is your thing that you are going to plant your flag on? And how can we learn about this?
So I am a big advocate of don't confuse busy with productive.
Mhm.
And so, especially in marketing, I feel like a lot of us have historically been stuck on this marketing hamster wheel where, marketing is essentially an activity driven or could be mistaken for an activity driven team. It's like run this campaign, build this email, host this webinar, sponsor this conference, post this social video. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And as more technology comes out, as innovation keeps growing, you're just being asked to do more. And it's really hard sometimes to pause and just say, why are we doing this? Or does this tie with what we need to accomplish? And so my hill is I try to pause a lot. And I'm very I want to make sure that people are doing the work that's actually going to drive impact. So as a demand gen marketer and as a growth marketer, like my number is always revenue and pipeline. That's what I want to prioritize. And anyone on my team and even marketing as a whole should be driving work and business and outcomes to revenue and to pipeline. And if you're doing a bunch of stuff and running a bunch of activities and just go, 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 and you're not pausing and say, is this driving that business outcome that we are measuring? Then you're just confusing busy with productive.
Yes. So a couple of thoughts came to mind as you were talking is like there's this really bad habit of organizations turning marketers into order takers. Like, can I get one flyer, please? Yes. I would like a social post today. And it's like, this isn't McDonald's. Like it's not drive-through marketing. And one-offs don't help anybody. I mean, and I say this, and everybody knows with my full chest, I'm all about sales enablement. We should absolutely provide things to support other departments. But there's a difference between letting the requests drive us and us driving the requests.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of your point is like the hamster wheel is like, there's always more marketing to do.
Oh, it definitely is. And to the example of the flyer from sales or whatever, um, I'm not saying say no to sales constantly, but it's understanding where the request is coming from. If they need a one pager because they have a customer meeting and they want to go through a specific product, then okay, then that actually makes sense. And then so maybe the question doesn't become create this one pager for this one AE. maybe the request then evolves into, hey, I think we need a template for the products that we're promoting, that sales can then customize or use so they can put into their sales decks when they're meeting with prospects on these respective things. So it's not always a default no, it's just understanding where the request is coming from, what the context is, who is actually asking it, because that's the other thing. Sometimes I'm not bashing sales, but let's just use them as the example here. AEs will just say things because they want the perfect sales deck. They want the perfect meeting. They want to win the deal. And, everybody wants to support them because it's a win-win for everyone if they have what they need to be successful. And so when reps are just saying things, people tend to hold on to it because they're like, well, this is what they need to close the deal. But take a step back from that for a moment. Is that one pager going to be the decision maker on whether we win this opportunity or not? Chances are the answer is no. It doesn't mean say that you're not going to provide the one pager, but it's just a matter of like thinking about the bigger picture and really understanding what is happening in the situation. And so I know sometimes time is of the essence as well, and you don't always have time to like really unravel all of it. But there comes a time where you do need to pause and just push back a little bit to see where the context makes sense and where sometimes it doesn't, and make sure it's not just something that's getting repeated because somebody said it 3 different times.
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides of that coin, right? There's the side where if one person is raising their hand and they're asking for it and they're like really insistent on it, maybe this is a bigger need that the whole sales department, maybe the sales department's very small, maybe it's 2 people, but this might call out like a bigger need to deliver value and communicate well to the customer. On the other side of that coin, it could be that salesperson needs some coaching and some product knowledge and, to really take some more like ownership of the call back on their self instead of on the assets, and relying on the deck to know what's going on instead of them like being the host of the sales call.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, there needs to be a conversation and that thread pulled. To your point, is that pause, that like, hey, what is the context?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really where my comments are coming from. It's not the automatic yes, it's ask the follow-up questions, understand the request, understand the context, and then decide from there if it actually makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Can you think of some times where like you've really seen like this go right, and maybe 1 or 2 where you've really seen this like kind of like go wrong, and that's why you changed your mind and you insist on doing this now?
Yeah. So one example where it goes right is actually it ties really well to the sales enablement conversation we're having. So we have this internal site, we call it Mission HQ, where it is a live intranet, if you will, sales enablement site where we have everything from playbooks to demand gen campaigns that they can pull for like templates for emails and call scripts. We also have like partner enablement collateral, data sheets. I mean, this is an active website that only our internal team can use, that we have a team monitor and build all the time. Like we just build on it constantly. And that literally that site was built and evolved from sales is doing some really good stuff. Marketing is doing some really good stuff. And then we're a big partner focused organization. And then our partners are doing some really great stuff, but we're not, the 3 of us are like, the go-to-market is not aligned and working together on this. And that was how we kind of identified this issue and created really strong alignment between sales and marketing. It's now they're trained, they're enabled, they know that if they need something, they usually go there first to find it. And if they can't, then like a quick Slack message is all they need. And usually it's some sort of request and be like, okay, like that's a really good idea. Let's make sure we get this added to the Mission HQ site. And then if not, it's just kind of like a one-off thing. So this has kind of been a big game changer for us. Another one that, again, my product marketing team should really get a lot of credit, actually does get all the credit for this because they built it. It's how many times have you heard salespeople asking or reps asking, hey, have we done X, Y, and Z with a customer before? And so we built this internal database, like powered by a platform and AI, where somebody can literally drive that prompt, like ask the question to the agent is, I have a prospect who's looking to do X, Y, and Z. Do we have a customer that is this size in this industry that has done something similar? And it will give you all of the customers that we have that have done the same exact thing. And then they can use that as conversations with their prospects to be like, oh, we've worked with this company and did this exact thing, and here are some of the results. Now, a lot of the times those customers are private, so we can't like use them as like customer case studies, but as internal data points, if you will, like we're able to use those in our sales conversations. So those have come from these requests from sales, and they've worked really well. And we've built like really powerful internal enablement and systems to give them the information in real time. Other times where it's not always the easiest is, I want to run this event with this team in, I don't know, pick a random city. And it's because, I have a prospect there. Well, one prospect doesn't really warrant a full event. And so that's where you kind of have to like pull levers a little bit to understand where the request is coming from. And I'm like, well, maybe if it's not a full event, maybe it's more of an intimate dinner and we can take out like 5 prospects and customers at the same time with like a district leader and an AE. Things like that, where you kind of have to see where it makes sense at a scalable portion versus something that's a little bit smaller, more intimate and ad hoc.
Yeah, I love that. Those internal tools are so important. Like those are game changers easily. Like they're not even mine and I'm excited about them. So like back to your point, I really want to make that call out is that like you have to protect the privacy of your customers, and not everything can be a white paper. Not everything can be published, but that doesn't mean that your company isn't providing the value. And being able to speak to that and keep it anonymous in a private conversation with a prospect is huge. But also it helps like with outbound, because then you're like, oh, we did this. We can replicate this, because it's easier to replicate a win that you already had than to make one up out of thin air.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, funny enough, the business development team, we call them cloud advisors because, we have to brand them. They report into the demand gen team, so that they're part of my org. And we have had some incredible success with our cloud advisor team, especially as we train them and enable them just like we do with our AEs. So while they're not actively closing the deals, they're not closers like an AE is, they're being exposed to the process that our regular sellers are being trained on as well. And so it gets them really comfortable to be able to speak to customers and prospects just like a rep would. And so when we think about their career trajectory, the transition doesn't become so big from a BDR to an AE because they've had the, months or years of that exposure and experience. And then like once they do transition into an AE role, it's just learning that final, 20-30% of the closing side of the business versus, jumping into an AE role and be like, well, now I have to learn 80% of it because all of this is new. And this all kind of is, while it wasn't built intentionally this way, it just happened to work really well, where all of the tools that we happened to build for sales enablement ended up naturally getting extended to the BDR enablement. And it's been working really well.
And I can just only imagine how much value that builds for the customer, because like there's not like, oh, well, this person said this, but it's really like this. Like it just helps that like customer journey like stay in a trustworthy, credible space, because you can set expectations from the marketing to the, experience one-on-one to the handoff to throughout the entire process. And I think that that's really, one of those like golden goose eggs that we chase after.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, like all of this stuff works together. So this kind of goes back to my initial comment. It's none of this is random acts of marketing. Every piece is connected. So just on the topic of outbound, um, our cloud advisors are working accounts and prospects that have been generated, from our different channels and different activities that have like very um, targeted approach. And so uh, from an ABM perspective, for example, it's not treated like this standalone framework. It's completely interjected into the entire demand generation engine, and so they're not wasting their time on like cold leads. It's accounts that we have been monitoring. We have the ICP layer, we have the intent layer, we have behavioral scoring layer, and then so not only are they getting the information that is beneficial to them to start the conversation, then they have the internal information to make sure that when they do have those conversations, they are the most impactful conversations that they can have in that short amount of time.
I love it. I love alignment. I don't think you can have enablement without alignment. I don't think you can have an engine if only two pistons are firing at a time. Um, it really is the competitive advantage is having your stuff together.
Mhm.
Um, because, random acts marketing might work for like some legacy companies, but that's because they already invested so heavily like decades ago.
Yeah. Right. So mission, to your point, you're absolutely right. So mission, so we have actually recently went through an acquisition. So now we are part of a very large organization, but we're still kind of operating semi-independently. But before the acquisition, I mean, yeah, we're a mid-sized company, 400 people. And so every dollar counts, every job, every person in the seat like really makes an impact, because when you're in a smaller organization like that, and I mean, there are plenty of companies that only have like 20 people, 50 people. When you're small like that, it's like you have to stretch your time and your money as much as possible. And that's where focusing on the things that are going to make the impact matters even more.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that there's that sweet spot where you have the resources to build these things. And at the same time is it's getting cheaper and cheaper. So it's like, it's probably better to build these sooner rather than later. Like, why wait until you have 300 people? Like,
Mhm.
just start now. And I really like the layers for scoring, because one mistake that I've seen is that people either just somehow magically don't lead score, or they do it in such a one-dimensional way that it's just kind of like pointless. It's not pointless, but it's not a strong enough metric to
Yeah.
prioritize time on.
Yeah. And so one caveat on that is lead scoring there's a little bit of misconception now around lead scoring, because lead scoring is not a new concept. It's been around for a
Forever.
while. And so your people are going to be like, well, you're lead scoring. Why are you only working leads? Well, no, you can do account scoring. It's nomenclature. It's whatever you're
Yeah.
calling it. Like, okay, lead scoring. In my example, it's because if you're like, we do a hybrid model, because we still treat leads like leads, because we have a pretty thorough inbound process, but we also have a lot of outbound. And so the inbound is the lead scoring, the outbound, if you will, is the account scoring. But even on the account side and the outbound side, like, you still have to contact a human. You're not reaching out to a company. And so there still has to be that level of scoring from a contact perspective that ties up into the target account.
Yes, I love it. Thank you for correcting my nomenclature, because it does matter. They are different things. Um, Yes, sometimes I do get lazy and I just kind of refer to everybody as a lead. And
Oh,
that's
I do
not.
too. It's just, I mean, yeah, it's easy because you're just like lead, whatever. But yes,
But
I
it's
think
not.
we,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
technical. You're right. You are right. I love calling other people right because it just speaks to their expertise. Um, okay. So kind of like coming back to like the workflow component of this and just kind of like why we do the things we do. In demand gen, you do a lot, but at the same time you skip some things. Is there some things where you're just like, maybe this is a better use of our time, like where you've taken that pause and you're like, why are we doing this? We should skip this.
As a channel or as an activity, or it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, probably an activity. I feel like you've already given a really great
Mhm.
example of like that prospect dinner.
Mhm.
So, anything else stand out like that, or is that like you know what I mean? Like,
So, so funny enough, just the other day, like on Monday of this week, me and my demand gen manager, we're actually thinking of kind of cutting the cord on LinkedIn ads, which
ooh,
is kind of a big deal. So I don't know if we're going to cut it entirely, but we are completely shifting the strategy. And this is because, you know, paid ads, especially paid media, but on LinkedIn in particular, it's getting so busy with noise that sometimes we catch ourselves just adding to the noise. Like we're not really standing out. And so we're spending a lot of money to just blend in with everybody else. And that doesn't really serve the the audience, and it definitely doesn't serve us. So it's not that we're completely cutting it and it's not worth our time, but we are again taking one of these pause moments and be like, we need to do something different here. And so I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but we're taking a couple different approaches. One is, do we reevaluate our the creative around it, not just like artwork, but like we've used the traditional static image, but maybe we shift and try some different media types like videos or even carousels because that's getting more traction on LinkedIn. We stopped this a while ago, but we used to use LinkedIn as almost like a promotion for content, like content syndication, and that was a disaster. Like that was money wasted. We stopped doing that a long time ago. But like if just as a PSA to people, if you are still promoting gated content and you're paying to promote gated content, stop. You're just wasting your money. People are not paying for content anymore. Like there are some pieces of content that you can gate and they are warranted to be gated, like, analyst reports, like I get that. Um, but if it's your own white paper, ungated, give it to everybody for free. There's no reason. And do not pay, to promote that on top of it, because then you're just paying for low quality leads.
yeah, it's
Um,
just yeah. Sorry, I'm like, yes, everybody should like let's remind you, like, don't do that. Okay.
yeah. So it's just kind of taking a pause. So we're not stopping, I guess is my short answer, but we are absolutely reevaluating this channel in the way that we've been using it because it's not working for us right now. And I think there's a lot of potential opportunity to make it cool and exciting and have some good metrics behind it. But the way we're doing it now is not the way.
Yeah, I love it. I once again, sorry for interrupting. I was like, yes,
I
like
don't
no,
know.
do not pay for leads to go for whatever to go to traffic to go to a white paper. Like that's a white paper is a high intent like thing. If you have to like push it so hard, then you're sorry, I dropped a pen out of
Oh,
like
no, it's okay.
um the pen felt how I felt. Like if you're going off a cliff of a desk, if you are paying for people to download your white paper and you're gating it, like it just like okay. Um so we've talked a lot about like the thought process of how you approach things. And always one of my questions is one of the disclaimers, but I feel like we've already talked through a lot of like if it works for this situation or that situation. Is there anything you want to add there, or what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean the question earlier about what we're not doing or stuff. I think it really also depends on your audience. So we sell to IT and technical decision makers, CTOs, CIOs. So like Instagram and like TikTok obviously is not the channel for us. So what I say is not, you know, be all. It really depends on your brand. It depends on who your audience is. There are plenty of companies that are advertising on channels like that, and they are probably making a ton of money because that's where their audience is. So that's the other piece, is find out where your audience is learning, absorbing media, and just new materials, learning. Like Reddit would probably be a good one for us, but honestly, Reddit is one of those places like you have to be so careful, and we don't want to create any kind of bad publications in Reddit. So like that's why we don't advertise in Reddit, but we kind of use it as an organic channel. And our internal subject matter experts, they use it because that's where they're getting. And so they kind of act on their own, like they're just organically our thought leaders because they're already there, and they're adding the context, and that naturally just helps our company.
Yeah, Reddit is a very specific
Yeah.
flavor. Um, okay. So, and that really talks about like the shift in the audience. And I think we all agree that you have to go to the right water coolers for the right reasons with the right pros and cons. And Reddit for many B2B businesses especially has more cons than pros.
Mhm.
I would argue even for B2C. It's great for Taco Bell. You know what? Taco Bell, you take it. Good job. That works for you by all means. Mountain Dew, those are your people. But back to kind of like the topic of marketing. So like where do you think marketing is going versus where do you think it should go? Are they the same?
I mean, I can't not say AI is going to help drive or continue to drive marketing, but here's where it gets a little bit interesting. So, um, AI is going to continue to grow marketing, but I actually think it's going to do something in the opposite, because right now it's so easy to just put stuff out into the world through AI. I mean, images, videos, content, you name it. I mean, and that's just like literally scratching the surface. Um, but I also think it's going to force marketers to kind of go back to being human. So, because of just, again, the noise that is out there between all the AI driven content, the AI driven noise, the companies and the marketers and the products and the brands that are going to be the most successful are the ones who know how to take what their company does, what the problem they solve, and make it super personal, super human. And not the like, we're promoting to the masses. And what I mean by that is they are going to be promoting to the masses, but it's not going to feel that way. It's going to feel like, Leanne, I'm talking to you and only you. I think that's where marketing is headed. Or I think let me rephrase that. I think that's where the best marketing is going to go. Not everyone is going to be able to do that quickly and easily, because again, it kind of goes back to my very first comment, which is it's so easy to get stuck in that hamster wheel. To make it feel like you're just doing the one thing for that one person is a huge gap and a huge shift in mindset from where we were to where we need to be.
And it's so exciting because that's absolutely like where you get the real good marketing to happen. I think that's what we should have been doing all along, but it was just so easy like 5 years ago to just do whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not the same world. Okay, I love that. I think you're absolutely right. Like AI slop, like people are just better at filtering out the noise.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What is a question someone should ask you, but they don't?
You told me that you were going to ask me this question, and I did not come prepared with an answer. Okay, just off the top of my head, I would say ask yourself, I guess, what's the most dangerous advice that somebody has given you about work or success? Like, if that's that, I mean, and I, well, okay, sorry, I'm struggling here a second, but I really do think that's a good question. So the reason I say that is because, especially as women, it's so easy to get sucked into the, like, you have to prove yourself, you have to do more, you have to, that you have to. That's the whole mindset. Like, we are literally trained that you have to do these things. But that's not the truth. And the reality is, like, I think it goes back to, one, see who's actually giving you real advice and are they invested in your future? And two, what does success look for you? And what it looks for me, it might be very different than what it looks like to you. And it might be very different to what it looks like to the next person. So success is not like, oh, one size fits all. It's very personal. It's very unique. And it's, again, going back to noise, it's so easy to be like, oh, well, this person's successful because they're posting X, Y, and Z on LinkedIn and whatever. Don't just ignore it. You got to ask yourself what's important to you, and then just go with that direction.
I am so excited about this response. I'm like, my face lit up. If you're only listening, like, I got visibly excited. So like, here's the thing is that not everybody with good intentions has good advice for you, to your point of it being like personal. And I think that everybody loves to give advice. And what we all have to remember, even when we're the ones giving it, is that the advice that comes out of someone's mouth is reflective of something that they need to hear, not what you need to hear.
That's so true. That's such a good point.
And it's so hard because I'm someone that I take stuff at like face value. And so if someone says something to me and I care very deeply about it, and I'm like, oh, I really do need to be doing that thing that you said because you said it so like confidently. No, they need to be doing that thing. And I need to find out my answers for me. And that's exactly your point, is that it's so personal and it's so internal that you can't just take someone's advice. I love that. I love this entire topic.
Thank you. I also, yeah, to your point, is everybody loves to give advice, and it's unsolicited. So one thing that, especially in my personal life, I don't do this as much at work, but maybe I should. People love to vent to me, and I'm happy to be like that trusted ear for them. But I always ask them when they do that, I was like, are you just venting because you just need to get this off your chest, or are you looking for advice? I'm like, there's no wrong answer. It's just, what do you need in that moment? And I feel like that's something that more people need to ask when their friend or their coworker or their partner or whatever is talking and venting, because sometimes they just need to talk. And sometimes they're like, you know what? I'm stuck. I genuinely do need your advice.
Yeah, I love that. One phrase that that my friends and I use a lot is, how can I support you?
Yes.
Because it leaves it like, maybe they don't even realize, they're just like so wound up. They're just like, oh, I am talking about this because I do need support. This is what I actually, and it helps it kind of like have an end outcome instead of just feeding on energy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Soft skills are huge. I love talking about soft skills and communication. Yeah. So like, I'm so excited that you said this. And the other part about like, being a woman, I think, is that like, that is remarkably a unique experience in our world.
Yeah.
And it is very peppered with, you should do this, you should do that.
Yeah.
And so I would say, like, there's cultural expectations, and then there's personal expectations, and then there's, what are your expectations?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We could have a whole episode about this.
I know. I could talk about this all day. Yeah. Maybe we'll need
Uh,
a follow-up. It won't, I don't know. Will your marketing audience appreciate that? They might. They might.
they might. I might need to just have like a leadership podcast too. Who
Yeah.
knows? Um, so if someone wanted to follow up and have a conversation with you, like whether about like advice or marketing or demand gen or just anything at all, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn. I am very active on LinkedIn. So you can find me, just search my name. I should come up pretty easily. I don't think there's that many Dina Oteros. But yeah, definitely reach out to me. I love connecting with other marketers, other go-to-market leaders, and I'm excited to connect with everyone.
Awesome. And then if anyone has any questions for me, you can reach me at info@markigy, markigy.com. Also on LinkedIn, way too much. Um, and I'd always appreciate it if you can like, review, subscribe, help support my podcast. Thank you again.